Welcome to Mujeres Unscripted, where we amplify the voices of women through unique stories and shared identities. We're Christina,
And Renee.
and each week we dive into candid conversations about culture, career, and personal growth.
Join us as we celebrate the strength and resilience that connects us all. This
It's
is
Mujeres
Mujeres Unscripted.
Welcome everybody to Mujeres Unscripted. We're back, and I am Renee.
And I'm Christina.
And thank you so much for coming back for this episode. I know we've been gone, we've been in hiatus for a little while, but if you are an educator, you understand the end of the year madness that happens.
It was a very long semester for both of us.
Hmm.
It's like we both realized, hey, we can't record, or we can't be, you know,
Hmm.
it the timing, there was always something coming up, there was always something happening on the weekends. This was a definitely busy semester.
It was. It was.
I haven't felt this tired, and a part of me definitely wanted to, because I
Yeah.
mean, I remember, we texted each other and we were like, I miss you too, and it was just busy.
And I know that's crazy because everyone's like, but you work in the same building. Because my husband would say the same thing. I'm like, but I'm all the way on one end of the hallway. She's all the way
Right.
on the other end of the hallway if I wasn't moved from my classroom.
Hmm.
And so it was just, we didn't see each other
No, there were days, weeks where we didn't see each other because it was like, I swear we were two ships,
passing in the
right,
night.
lost at sea.
Yeah, it was crazy because my husband's like, why is she texting you? You
Yeah,
saw her today. And
yeah,
I'm like, no, I didn't. I haven't seen her in like 3 weeks. What are you talking
no.
about?
Yeah, exactly. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is testing season.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then if we're part of the graduation, committee, then you're just as busy. I mean,
Hmm.
we participated in graduation this last weekend, and we were busy.
Yeah.
Again, and we both, luckily, Renee caught a ride with me, and we were able to, like, okay, when are we doing this? When are we coming back? And here we are.
We're here. And then not only do we have work, we have all of our kids' celebrations.
Kids, yeah.
Even
Let's
though,
not forget that.
yeah, because I know, Diego had his things that you had to go to, and I got
Yep.
four that are still in
You had
school.
four.
And,
Yeah. Well, along with a crazy testing semester, I added a member to my family,
mm-hmm.
and I wasn't going to talk about this. We hadn't talked about this before, but we added one of Diego's. Um, his father passed away, and his mother does not have custody, and so we stepped up. Armando and I stepped up as guardians, and he's been with us since since really December.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's not a newborn, it's a 340-pound baby boy, 17-year-old baby boy. And so, and he's a football player. And so we've got those camps going on. He's got camps in Allen, he's got camps, in South Dallas. And so we've been really busy, not just with Diego, but also with Arfia. So it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
a great kid. He's a good
He's a
kid.
great kid. Oh no, he does not as the magnitude of his presence. He tiptoes around the house, making sure he doesn't cause any or breaks anything. But he is a joy to have in our home as our plus plus one in a family of three, right? So now we're a four.
Mm-hmm.
We're a foursome. So, but
No,
it's been busy. It's been a busy semester.
and well, I've noticed as they get into high school, there's not as many celebrations, which is kind of great. But so my sophomore, it was just like, hey, school ended. But my eighth grader transitioning into ninth grader, he's been at his school since second grade, so they've had I think the end of April through May, they've had something like every week because they're the first class from that school that's going off to high school. And so we had all those celebrations. And of course, I have a fifth grader going to middle school, but she's not going to a different school. That's why I love their schools. They go all the way to eighth grade, so I don't have to worry about,
Oh, nice.
yes, the
Yeah.
whole application process. Because can you imagine applying to a middle school and a high school at the same time?
No.
Because we're already
Mm-mm.
having to deal with Joseph going to high school and all his applications. So just
His registration. Yeah, yeah,
hmm
yeah.
and then waiting for the day of, hey, yes, you got accepted, or no, you got your second or third choice or whatever. And then my baby's just going to fourth grade.
Oh my God. Time is flown by.
Yes.
I don't know if you felt that, but time has definitely flown by with children, having kiddos. It's just I, I wish it could slow down, but
Mm-hmm.
I also and I'm anticipating the fall semester. Both boys will be seniors, and so I'm just like, this is going to be a hell of a roller coaster for me.
And then I don't know if we talked about this on here, but my two kiddos worked with your husband on a
Yes,
game,
a game design. Yes, they did.
and they went to South by Southwest in Austin, and they had a great time.
Yeah, I heard. That is such an awesome opportunity, to collaborate with an organization, and then, be have the the ideas to come up with to go through the design process, right? The
Mm-hmm.
design thinking process, and then create an actual game, right? That adults could use to kind of navigate through their conversations with young people. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had a good time. So like we said, we have been busy. We have been some busy women. So yeah, but we're back here, back with you guys. And speaking of testing, and Christina, if
Ah,
have
mom and
had this.
dad, be ready.
I feel we tested since February.
Yeah, it was a tough, and that's one of the main reasons why we were out, is because we just never knew what our schedule's going to be like for
Hmm.
the following week, and so, you know, trying to get together and try to plan something was just it wasn't going to happen with the
Yeah.
schedules we had this semester because of all the over testing. I like to think it
Yes.
was over testing. I don't feel this was necessarily planned as it could have been.
Hmm.
I'm trying to be very, very nice about this, but it was a tough. It wore people out.
And
If nothing gets teachers like out of education,
it's testing.
it's not the kids. It's never the kids.
No.
It's this over testing
Hmm.
of not just the kids, but as individuals, right? As teachers
Because guys,
who have to go in and proctor.
you don't understand. We just have to sit there and stare at these kids. And y'all can,
Hmm.
and people are like, oh, that's easy. Yes, it is easy, but it is exhausting. You can't read
It's
a
exhausting.
book. You can't
Mm-mm.
talk. You can't really even look at the kids because you don't want to be accused of cheating. You don't want to
Yep.
even look at their screen by accident because you don't want to lose your certificate. I mean, the security and stipulations that go into testing
Yeah.
is what is exhausting about it.
Yep.
And so, and then those of you who haven't been in school for a while, you don't know how many tests these poor kids take.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear
It's
about,
overwhelming.
yes, we hear about STAR.
Hmm.
Everyone knows about STAR, but I don't think y'all know how many STAR tests these kids have to take.
I mean, poor freshmen have to take three STAR
Yes.
exams. They have to take the biology, the algebra, and English 1.
Mm-hmm.
Sophomores are responsible for English 2,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so somehow, and then juniors are responsible for U.S. history.
And then, yes, the U.S. history. And
So
then
5 tests.
5 tests, and then sometimes these kids are not good test takers. So they pile them up. You forgot English algebra 2. Is it algebra 2? They take another math or another science. I don't remember. But if they get to their senior year and they still haven't passed, guess what? They're taking a test every day during that star week.
Yep. Yep.
It is nerve-wracking, it is stressful, and then on top of that, we have them taking SAT, we have them taking AP tests, we have them taking TSIA, which I still don't know what that's for. I don't.
Well, to help parents, right? So, like Renee says, you're not just taking 5 tests; you're taking multiple tests because some sophomores are already starting to take the SAT,
Mhm.
and if you didn't do well, you can take it again as a sophomore, as a junior. But you said they've got the majority of our kids, because we have 74% Hispanic kiddos. The majority of our kids have to take TELPAS,
Pass.
and it's a 3-part exam, or for some it's 4
Yeah.
because it's a writing piece. So reading, writing, math, and speaking, right?
Yeah.
So that's another test. And then it's TSI. TSI is for students who plan to go to college, and if you score a certain amount, right, a certain score, then you don't have to take remedial classes at the college level.
Mhm.
So yeah, and if they don't, and of course because every school wants to meet their CCMR, college and career readiness, and military, if the school wants to score well in that, then they're going to make sure that every kid takes it, passes it, and if they don't pass it, take it again. So it's a constant testing,
Uh,
uh, door.
Alicia came to me. She's a sophomore, and she's like, "Mom, I didn't do good on my TSIA," and I'm like, she's like, "So I'm not college ready." I'm like, "Yeah, you're not. You're 15. Of course you're not
Calm
college
down.
ready." So I was just like,
You will be.
you will be, yes, but at 15, no, it's
You will
okay.
be. You're gonna.
But as of right now, it's okay if you're not college ready. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and even my junior, both of them, by the way, they didn't score.
Hmm.
They didn't make the right score. But again, no one's prepping them
No.
to understand it and why they need to do well. Right? So I think the passing score was 950, and both boys were maybe 10 or 20 points off of it. And I was like, guys, come on. If you did, and they did well on their SAT, I'm just like, if you did well on the SAT, why can't you do well on the TSA, TSIA? And they're like, well, we just thought it was another test. And it's like,
Mm,
so,
yeah. And then on top of that, we still have end of course tests.
oh, let's not forget those. Wow, yeah.
and
But
and
again, you're also using people within the building, right?
right.
Not only are the kids being over tested, the teachers are being over
Mhm.
proctored, right? Assigned to proctor each of these tests. And you can only assign so many people so much.
And not only that, they're pulling us to where I think I didn't see my A-Day kids for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, so you miss a lot of teaching opportunities.
Or even if they change your room, kids don't show up.
Right.
Especially if they don't give the kids a heads up beforehand. I'm on the third floor. Once a kid goes up to my classroom and sees I'm not in my room and that I'm testing, they're not going to try to find me. They're tired.
Hmm. Hmm.
They're exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do, but I don't remember. And yes, I graduated in the late 1900s, but
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I
I
mean,
don't remember being tested this much. I remember I'm in the days of TAWS.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We took it in third grade,
Hmm.
fifth grade, eighth grade,
Yep.
and then you took all of those in 10th grade so that if you didn't pass them in 10th grade, you took like kind of like STAR, you take them again in junior year and your senior year. But that was
Right.
it.
That was it. And then remember, I remember the benchmark test, the Ohio or Iowa
ITBS.
standardized test, because that one was about growth, right?
Yeah.
How much have you grown in math, reading, and writing? And that's all I remember. I'm with you. Those are the only two tests I remember.
And we had like once you got to middle school, and middle school for me was 7th and 8th grade, not 6th grade, 7th and 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
You had
Right.
your end of course tests.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think these kids take more tests in one semester than I took my whole, primary and high school career.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was a time. But I'm so excited we're back. And not to be all doom and
In
gloom.
a trying time.
Yes, but not to be all doom and gloom. We had some fun this weekend. We got to see our babies graduate. Our class of 2025 from our school, they got to graduate
Yes.
this weekend.
Yeah. I always have kids who want to like, Miss, I'm gonna miss you. And I'm one of those teachers, I'm very matter of fact, and I'm like, no, you're not. I need you to go out there and make good choices. You are a citizen of this, of the city, of this state, of this nation. Make good choices. Out there and represent North Dallas because again, I'm also a bulldog. And so I need you to do well.
And I'm the opposite. So this is my third year as a high school teacher. So I did take a lot more pictures this year than I did last year because
You were a social butterfly.
I
Yes, you were.
I was because these are the kiddos. They were sophomores my first year, so they were
Mm,
like I had sprinkles of seniors the past couple years, but this year I had the majority of them their sophomore year, and so I got to see them kind of grow up and start coming to school because when they were with me, they skipped a lot. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so it was nice to see. And yes, I did take hugs because some of my kids, they are truth. They come and do tell me their business all the time. So
Uh-huh.
so I know they will miss me. So yeah, because I've actually got a kid. She's going to Prague. She's gonna take a year off, and
Ooh,
she got some job abroad, working abroad, and so she's gonna be going to Prague, and
nice.
she would keep me updated on how that's going and stuff. So yeah, some of these kiddos do talk to me a lot. So
Well, no, that's good. That's great. I'm over here. I'm on the other side where, I need to get them to cross that finish line,
yeah.
right? And so I helped about 17 kiddos,
Mhm.
meet that goal. And a part of me was like, because being able to help them cross the finish line through the IGC program, I'm able to see everything that they do and didn't
Mhm.
do. And so I get to see their attendance, I get to see um, which classes they missed the most. I can see everything behind the screen, behind the screen. And for me, those kids that pulled pulled all the stops out and retested and passed them during the IGC application process, I was then able to, like, hey, they busted their butts, they went back and took a test, passed it. Now, kind of IGC doesn't really matter. So I had some kiddos who um, knocked it out of the water and were able to graduate without the help of any program. But when I see 17 cases of students who could have been in class, weren't
Mhm.
in class, what's going on? How many chances, how many more opportunities do you need to, you know, for someone to help you cross that finish line?
Just do the bare
So I
minimum.
don't remember programs like this when I was in school either.
Right.
It's like if you failed, you didn't pass your courses due to attendance, due to, not passing your ACPs or not passing your state exams. You went to summer school. And
Mm-hmm.
for somehow that's no longer happening.
Yeah, so a lot of y'all may not know, and I did not know this till I came to high school, that there are, it's called attendance for credit. The kiddos that
Hmm.
miss a lot, and some of them, they do have honest stories. My mom had surgery, and I had to take care of my sister and my mom.
Hmm.
Yeah, we get those things happen. Okay, then we get applications. It's like, well, it's because I skipped class. Thank you for being honest,
Transparent.
but we get I don't know. And like you said, and then we also have reconnect
Hmm.
that if they failed a class, they have time during the school day. Whereas, as you stated before, when you and I were in school, if we didn't pass a class, we were staying after school for tutoring, coming in the morning
Hmm.
for tutoring.
Yeah.
And so just to get a lot of these kids, not all, because we have some great kiddos that go to class, do what they need to do. But like
Oh, of course.
Christina said, we have that handful that don't even want to do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And there's opportunities. We give them multiple opportunities to get it through their head that, hey, just go to class. Just go to class and do the
Hmm.
work and you'll pass.
Yes.
Can't even get the bare minimum done. It is frustrating. And there they go walking
Yeah.
across the stage and I'm just like, really?
Yeah, and it's funny because you know, other kids notice that. And they're
Yeah.
like, "But I went to school every day. I worked hard to have perfect attendance because that still matters, right?"
Mhm.
And I mean, kids are pointing out other kiddos like, "Why is he graduating when he or she were hardly in school?"
So
And it's like,
I'll tell a little story. Why I started skipping school. I didn't skip school. I didn't. I went to every class, and then, like I said, graduated in the late '90s, the 1900s. Tony Casillas from the Dallas Cowboys. I am dating myself. It's okay.
"Mhm.
He came in and we had a pep rally with him, and he came and talked to us while we were at Sunset or whatever. And then he said he was going to take like 10 kids that had been skipping school, but they had started coming back to school. He was going to take them out to lunch and some limo and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm a honor roll.
Yeah.
I'm in all these extracurriculars. I don't miss school. And so then I kind of like you said, I'm like, well, shoot, I'm gonna skip school then. You
Yeah,
know,
and get Tony Casillas to bring a limo out."
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it's not Tony Casillas or a football player or anything like that, but we still give them so many chances. And a lot of these kids just are like, you're gonna pass me anyway, and
Yeah.
they just rather, I
Yeah.
guess, do it in the last 2 weeks of them being here on campus than, you know, throughout the school year.
Yeah. So I wonder, and you brought up a good point. There's kids out there who are having to be adults in their
Hmm.
families, having to take care of their families, having to go and work or help pay bills. I get that, and
Hmm.
there's some family members who've passed away, and they were out because, as you said, they were taking care of the siblings. Those are cases. Those are very far and few between
Right.
cases that I've come across. But the majority of those kids that are on AFC, who are on IGC, who are on you know anything else, or reconnect, it's because our students are not going to class.
Right.
Period.
Hmm.
I've had uh, cases too where they're in a different town south of Dallas or east of Dallas, and you're driving your kid to central Dallas,
Hmm.
city, into the city to go to high school, but you're an hour late every day. That's a problem
Yeah.
because I wish parents understood that attendance by 9:15 or by 9:20, 9:30, it's within that time frame that attendance is taken,
Right.
and that's what's reported to the state. You know, and if your kid's late, an hour late to high school, you're not here.
Yeah.
You're not here, and that counts against us, right?
Yeah.
And so now at the, it's because now because you, the parent, brought them late. because of where you're living, instead of transferring them to a closer school, you keep making your kid late.
Hmm.
At some point, parents, where's the line?
Yeah.
You know,
No, I get it. I
so
mean, and
just it's a tough topic for me because
I, it's a tough topic because I'm like, I'm doing it with four. I have four
yes,
kids I got to get to school
yes, you,
plus myself.
yeah,
Because my husband does the pickup, I do the drop off. Um, I mean, it sucks. We got to get up at 6:20 so that
yeah.
because I don't live in the neighborhood of these schools. It's
No,
about
you do not.
a 30-minute drive because I
Hmm.
take the back roads. I'm not taking the freeways at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's just asking for a headache. So it's about a 30-minute drive every morning to get my kids to the first drop off school, and then we go
Yeah, yeah.
to the next drop off school, and so it's not fun. I could wake up at 7:45 and still be here by when I need to be here, but because my kids, I still had some in elementary and middle school, they had to be there by 7:35, and you just got to get your butt up and go.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when we have a lot of kids who transition from middle school to high school, it's like the parent decides, oh,
They
they're
got it.
they're old enough now. They got it, right? Well, no, mom, dad, we need you up until senior year,
Right.
up until graduation. That's where we need parents. Every day, every year, up until graduation. Don't disappear on them. Don't, I mean, they need you as much as we need you.
Yes.
And I think that's a misnomer where a lot of our parents, especially in our communities, where oh, él ya está grande.
Yeah.
Well, that no, he's not,
No.
because he's not making
A
good
14-year-old is
choices
not
while he's
old
on
enough.
campus.
A 14-year-old is not old enough to be making those choices.
And being part of, and being a school teachers, we're always in the hallway. We're always
Hmm.
telling kids to get to class. What are you doing out of class? Where's your pass? Mom, dad, we need you.
Mm. Yes.
Sorry, we
Yes.
need you. You
And,
know.
and I have had even at in the high school level, I've had, even though I've been there just 3 years, I've had about four parents come and walk with their kid, sit in the classroom,
Hmm.
did that whole thing. So if that's what needs to happen, then that's what needs to happen. And but yeah,
Yeah.
it's there's only so much we can do. There's only so much we can
Yeah.
do. And
Before parents start complaining about us not doing our jobs, believe me, we're doing our jobs. But I do wish a lot more people would volunteer
hmm.
to help, especially in any campus really, but volunteer so they could really see what's going on.
Right.
Because most of the time it's the student telling the parent, but I sometimes feel there's a lot of disconnect in what the information's being told, right?
It leads me back to that whole like meme or gif was like, we think the flag should still be in schools. It's that, like, that mentality, like they so are don't know what's going on in the classroom. Because I mean, I'm looking at you right now, you got an American flag. It's just that
Yeah.
disconnect of what they're being told is happening in the classroom and what's really happening in the classroom. And every classroom has a United States flag. So when that kind of pops up on my feed, like, we need to have put flags back in the classroom, I was like, then it's been a while since you've been in a classroom or
Yeah,
what's
because we've
going
been
on.
having them.
So
We've
that's,
been having them.
yeah. And so that's just I mean, it's a very simplistic thing, or metaphor of what we're trying to say, of what the public is being told of what happens in the classroom versus what and how hard we're working for these kiddos, because we all
Hmm.
want them to succeed. We do.
Of course. Yeah.
And so yeah, but that's it. We're at 30.
Wow.
I
Jam
know.
packed.
I know. That was again, I know you're like, "Oh my god, this is educational," but those of you that have kids, when I got into high school teaching, I didn't know a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter at the time was seventh grade, eighth grade, because she's a sophomore now. So I was just like, I'm glad now I know, because then I probably would have been like one of the parents, like, nah, you ain't telling me, yeah, no, no.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it is happening. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe this has helped you to realize what is actually going on. And when your kid says they're stressed and they need a mental day because they've been testing, hey, give them a mental day.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
They can
Nothing wrong with that.
they can always make up a test.
Yes.
But yeah, so I'm glad we're back. I'm glad we get to see each other on a regular basis now, which is funny because
Yeah.
we're not even in the same building. But yeah, so thanks guys for tuning back in to our show, and we'll be bringing out more podcasts to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have the summer and first semester coming up, but we're definitely back on track. Again, if it was a full loaded recording day, it's because it was a full loaded semester. So
Yeah. So thanks you guys. We'll see you soon. Have a good one.
bye, everyone.